video is going to be called Operation Weight Loss. Not for me, that kind of needs to be Operation Weight Gain, but for the Jeep I need to shave some weight off of the vehicle. It's pretty heavy and I'm going to be focusing in this video on the back end. The back end's pretty important. But if you're familiar with my bumper, it's a really early fabrication project, and it's pretty bloody heavy, and it could have been made a lot better and a lot lighter. And it's basically just the stock XJ bumper with a load of framework put in it and some end caps welded on. The tyre carrier, if you're familiar with that, it's kind of like a tyre carrier I bought in parts and semi-fabricated it. And I like it because it wraps around the side of the Jeep, it doesn't take up much room, and it's pretty damn strong. So looking at this setup here, you can see it's metal upon metal upon metal. It doesn't really need to be this way. So this is going to go, all of this, gone, and not going to go back on. And I'll weigh that and figure out how much I've taken off compared to how much I've put back on, because there's going to be some fabrication. This is going to be moved up, and this is going to be welded and tied into the inner tie-in brackets in the frame that tie onto the rear frame stiffener, so it should be a real nice solid anchor point. This is going to be taken off, going to be just going horizontal like that. This has got to go too, so you know the hatch obviously needs to open, so if this moves up the hatch won't open with this, so I'm going to figure that out. That's how it's going to go, and hopefully it doesn't go completely wrong. Oh, there we go, it's off. Jesus Christ! That is no way 40 kilos, actually, I'm full of shit. That's probably like 20, 25. So this bumper's weighing in about 25 kilograms. 44 kilograms for the tyre carrier. Approximately. Wow, that is very heavy, to be fair to it. Yeah. Well, I've been grinding away on the bumper tyre carrier for a little while now, and just kind of getting everything disassembled and also repairing some stuff. These tie-in brackets, I made these at the same time that I made the original bumper, so quite some time ago. They function pretty well, but they're a pretty stupid design if you look at actually the way they're built, but they do work. So I've just repaired them. I basically had some nuts that were damaged on the inside of this from cross-threading, so I had to drill some big old holes to get the nuts out, and actually weld some new nuts in, and it's turned out pretty good, and I just need to grind those welds down a little bit now and make it a bit flatter, and they can be used again, which is great. But the main thing is been getting this thing cut, so you can see here these big old wings that used to connect underneath the frame like the tow hitch would. They're gone now, and I need to find a way of tying this into the tie-in bracket. So I've slotted the tie-in bracket so that it can fit in, and I'm going to start working out kind of how to fit this and mark it all up, and then reinforce it with some welds, and yeah, basically kind of get it how I want it to be. So I'm pretty sure I've got it central, so this can slot in here like that. Somewhere along those lines I think I would like it to be, maybe in a bit further. I need to cut these off as well because they're absolutely useless. I'll put some new ones on. 18.5 centimeters from the back face of the cross member, and 18.5 centimeters. So that's basically how it's going to be. So I'm going to weld that to the tie-ins now, pull it out, ooh, and then finish it off. The welds come out quite nice. I'll weld it on the inside as well, the other side, once I've taken this off, and that should be pretty strong. But obviously it's not going to be enough, just those two thin pieces mounting in. So I'm going to put a bit of triangulation in. So the triangulated reinforcements are in place, and that's taken all of the side-to-side movement off of that centerpiece of box section from the tie-ins, because it was wobbling around quite a lot before, just wasn't strong enough. And I've also just added in a 6mm wall at the back, just between the back of the tie-in bracket and the back of the box section, and that's really just to ensure that, given it's a recovery point, it's going to be kind of towed off of, or yanked against or something like that, it just needs to be pretty strong. But I went down the road of exploring tube. I originally said at the beginning of the video I was going to put tube to wrap around the sides of the lights and things, and kind of tie off the end of the bumper like that, and I went pretty far down that road. I mean, I completely welded everything up. It just didn't look right at all, and I continued going, trying to make it look better. I put some triangulation in and stuff, and it just did not work out. It just looked completely weird. So I just ended up taking a massive angle grinder and just taking both sides off, and just calling it a day and going back to the drawing board. And luckily somebody I knew had a couple of lengths of this 60 by 60mm box section of a 4mm wall, which is ideal really for the end of the bumper here. And coupled with the scrap and the other stuff that I've got in the garage, I've managed to make this end piece here, which I really like the look of. And I've just taken a bit of the same box and end capped it where it was a little bit too long. This is the same kind of thickness of box section, and it's really just to kind of make it look nice, to be honest, because underneath there you're going to have all kinds of weird looking stuff and it just looks shit. So even though this weld looks kind of janky and weird, it's just because this isn't structural. I just wanted it on there, and I'm going to use a bit of filler just to tidy it up and make it look professional at the end. So it's on there good anyway, and it's welded front and back. But I have got a bit of tube there, and you can kind of see the tube's not sticking out so far, just really a tiny bit. And that's just because it's more for protecting underneath and protecting the body panel here. I've got a lot of armour at the side of the vehicle. The fenders are made of tube and sheet metal, so they're pretty damn strong, and you've got the rear quarter panel armour as well. So I don't really need any more side protection, but I know I've shown this clip a million times of me dropping down this ledge and banging a rock, but in that instance the bumper took the brunt of it, and it did get dented pretty hard. It is useful to have protection from underneath like that, and that's kind of where I need it. And also it means that this splash panel can be connected to the underneath of that too, and just kind of complete that there. I put the recovery eye back on, so you know that's obviously going to be needed, and that's welded all the way around, you know, tied into this piece and this piece, and you know it should be pretty damn strong. And I've also added in a little bit of triangulation at the back there. It just completes the look. When you open the bumper, it looks less like a random piece of box section sticking out the side, and more like actual shape following the continuity of the scrap heap challenge design. But anyway, gonna build another one now. Good. Taking me a bit of time to get this in position, just making sure the measurements are as good as possible really. I mean, it'd probably be off by a little bit, but as long as it looks good by eye and it's as close as it can be, then Only I know it's shit. So I'm at the stage now where the bumper's basically done, apart from tidying everything up, and I need to think about the tyre carrier. As I said, the tyre carrier part is basically done, and if you've already seen the error, then you can laugh at me, and it's the recovery eye. Just there. I mean, didn't even think about it. How can this tyre carrier swing round when there's a big old recovery eye in the way? So I've either got to move it, cut it off, cut them both off, relocate them, buy new ones, I don't know. But yeah, what a shame, because those things are in there now, they're not coming off. But this thing's going to go here like that. And it's going to incorporate all the same mechanisms as it did before. It used to be like this. So there used to be an engaging platform for it, if you remember, which was this thing here. And it was a rectangle with this kind of thing on top of it, and it clicked into it. So you turn the handle, 2 pins retract top and bottom, and the tyre carrier can swing round. So I want to keep that mechanism because I think it's pretty cool. So what I've done is just cut this piece off and cut it off in a way that I can turn it into this piece. And this is going to engage just here like that, which allows me to use the same mechanism. Well, now that this piece is welded in place, I haven't welded it at the bottom because there's some thread, and I'm going to cut up there so that thread can still be used. I didn't think that through, which is not like me, is it? But I've put this piece in here, so if you remember in the top there, that's where the tyre carrier would originally engage into. And there was like a cylinder of metal in there, and I had to grind pretty aggressively into that to get that out and tap that out. And I've put it forward here on the front. I've gone overboard with reinforcing it. It has like a triangulated skid plate at the back that's welded underneath. Yeah, it has bracketry all around. It's welded pretty solidly in place. It's overkill, but I kind of want it to be because it is protruding out. Unfortunately, the recovery eye had to be cut off. I really didn't think that through. So I'm going to probably buy some new ones and have them coming from underneath, and remove that one as well, and grind in here and sort of tidy all that up. And these are the original brass bushings that came off of the other one, basically, of in here when the pipe was mounted in here. So I'm going to tap these in, get this in place, and then hopefully I'm on the final stages of making this all work. There we go. So now it's time to figure all of this stuff out. This I want here. Also, I have this little thread here, and there used to be a gas strut that went to here, so I'm gonna fabricate a little bar that connects to the gas strut, so it pulls it closed but also assists me in pushing it open. And it was a 50 kilo gas strut, so that's a nice bonus too, because one of the issues with these is always like keeping them open when the vehicle's on a like off camber or something. But anyway, the main thing now is just getting this welded on. I have cut the angle slightly to be more suited to this, because before it was like that, and that's the reason I had to cut it off, because it was just, it would mount way too low. So now I need this like mounted basically somewhere like that, and once that's mounted on, it's done. Put a little bit of a weld in, secure that. And then that moves around like that, and then it goes to there. Yeah, and it doesn't actually go any further because it's stopped on that little ledge, which is absolutely perfect. Well, that's it, all done basically, apart from some details. Need to weld the bottom of this and cut it and do that mod so the thread for the ball hitch and stuff is working. The recovery eye that I had to cut off this side here, yeah, I haven't put that anywhere yet. I need to take that one off the other side too, because I kind of want them to be symmetrical. So I'm probably going to have to cut a slot out of somewhere and have the recovery eye welded in somewhere like that. But I might look online and see if I can buy some that fit this kind of design that I've done, but that's going to come a bit later, but obviously before I paint it. But in terms of how it's functioning, it's great. It's a little bit higher than it used to be, and I've got no problem with that. I might take this rack off at the top, because I've got a strap now that I use for the diesel heater in the winter, so I'm not too bothered about it sitting on an actual physical piece of metal, so that might be a little bit more weight lost. But obviously you see this here, I had to cut it like that. You might have spotted it the first time round when I showed you the tyre carrier, but if you hadn't, then that has to be that way for this to open and close. But it's still extremely strong. I mean, you might think this here would be a weakness, but given the metal welded in like this and everything else, it's extremely strong. I have no worries about it. Obviously it depends how much weight you load on this thing, but I'm just going to have a spare tyre, a diesel heater, a pair of snowshoes. You know, I've got no issues with hanging off of this at all, you know, and wobbling around on it. It's got very little movement because it's such a short arm. So I guess the question is how much does this thing weigh? I mean, obviously I've added this metal to the ends. That wasn't there before. There's been some cutouts. I've put these tie-in brackets on it. Now, when I weighed it before, it was about 45 kilos. The old bumper was 25 kilos. Both of them were weighed without the tie-ins. Okay, it's time to weigh it. Make sure it's suspended. Ooh. Okay. 50.7 kilos. Another one just to be sure. 50, well, it's sort of dithering around 50.1. I'm going to try and weigh it just one more time a different way, but I think it's looking like it's around 50 kilograms. Yeah. Oh wow, there you go. Oh yeah, so I mean, I'm holding it, so you kind of got to take a little bit of that into it, but 49.7. So I think we should call it at 50 kilos. So 50 kilos is a decent round number for a tyre carrier bumper. I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to be a little bit lighter as well, actually, because of this framework that I'll be taking off of the top. I did expect it to be heavier, given what it looks like and all the metal that I added on, but I guess I originally weighed it without the tie-in brackets. I mean, they're on the tyre carrier bumper permanently now, and the end caps plus all the other stuff, you know, it kind of makes sense that it's going to be a bit heavier now. And also bear in mind, a lot of material has been taken off of it. You know, lots of bracketry and all sorts of things have been removed from it, so 50 kilos makes sense to me. So I guess I've saved 20 kilos. The old bumper tyre carrier was 25, this was 45, that's 70, now this is 50, so I'm 20 kilos down in terms of weight, which is awesome. And if I take a huge dump, then what are we looking at? Like, we're down 30 kilos in weight potentially, so that's pretty good, isn't it? But the workshop is an absolute mess. I mean, look at the place. Honestly, haven't enjoyed this job, I'll be honest with you. It's not been the most fun work. You know, when you've got to get the grinder out and you've got absolutely shit tons of grinding to do, you know, removing material, painting and everything, and it's horrible. So, you know, some people might enjoy it, not me. I'm glad it's done almost, but the next job, take this outside, clean it all up, get those recovery eyes sorted, try and figure out a mechanism for the strut, so kind of similar to the way it was before when it was under the tyre carrier, and then basically I'm going to paint it. But I'm ending it here on this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. You probably haven't. I haven't either. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video when this is going to be ready to be sprayed with Raptor liner and then Jeep cleaned and fitted. See you next time.